First item up on our list is something I actually knew nothing about, but heard coming across, where basically a potential HIV vaccine in South Africa has now been ruled ineffective. HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. There was a vaccine in Thailand that has been proven effective to rule out a couple of strains, but it looks like the common strains in South Africa are a bit more resilient to this type of methodology. And so this trial of more than 5,000 people in South Africa has now been scrapped and essentially back to the drawing board. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's an important result, even though it's not a happy one in a sense. We were hoping this was going to deliver some new results, and obviously they've been trying to find ways of curbing the HIV and AIDS and kind of looking for vaccines and whatnot. Because at the moment, the only medical way you can handle it is kind of managing the virus or managing the disease as opposed to getting rid of it completely.
Yeah.
And so this potential vaccine was an exciting opportunity. Unfortunately, it has been proven not ineffective, basically, and so we're going to go back to the drawing board, like you say. I think why it's interesting to talk about is the fact that we don't often hear about when these science experiments, when they find nothing, right? When there's like a non-result or something goes against what was hypothesized, we often don't hear about it. We only kind of hear about the things that are changing things or the new information that comes around across the board.
Yep.
And so it can be a little bit misaligned with how science actually works. Like there's 99 of these types of results before you get the one that actually makes the difference, right? So it's nice hearing about one of these things where they're trying a new vaccine, trying it on I think 5,000 patients in South Africa,
Yeah.
and testing it and seeing what kind of effect it has. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have the effect that we want. But it's a good sign that science is working the way it should, and that these kind of results are necessary to get to the right solution in the end.
Now, I might be completely off whack here, but from what I know about the virus, this was a virus that crossed over from the animal kingdom as well, similar to the coronavirus, like we've been chatting about, obviously completely different, in its all forms. And I'm not a medically qualified person to chat about this, but my understanding is this was one of those, and it's still, however many years down the line, we don't have a solution for it. Bit of a scary thought.
Yeah, definitely. It's been the lead killer in a lot of Africa, right? Besides malaria, and it's been kind of the virus that's typified this generation of people. It's kind of the virus that I identify with most in the sense of what kind of impact it's had on the continent.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we chatted about Thailand, and it kind of worked in Thailand, but Thailand's such a small portion of the AIDS epidemic around the world. Like so much of the AIDS epidemic is in Africa itself, and so there's obviously genetic differences between the patients across the sea, and that's potentially why these things don't kind of translate across borders. But HIV and AIDS is still a huge killer. At one stage, it looked like it was going to be a giant pandemic that was going to wipe out a lot of people. So we've made huge strides to actually control it and bring it to a manageable level where people can live long lives of decent health while having the virus, but it's still a major killer. And for a lot of people who can't afford the antiretrovirals, it still is a serious issue. So it's something we haven't solved yet. I'm hoping that we keep finding solutions, we keep working on it, because it is one of those huge viruses that are so important to us.
Definitely. I mean, I think, like you said, now people are actually able to still live long, meaningful lives. I actually saw an article in the Men's Health a few months ago where one of the leading Wales rugby players actually came out and sort of, announced that he has it, and is living a healthy life, which is something that obviously wasn't possible when this was first discovered. Obviously, some strides have been made there, but more to come. Does this sort of worry you about, the coronavirus and potentially not being able to find a vaccine for this? This might be us talking in 40 years time with a similar story.
Yeah, I think the nature of these things is that they keep evolving and they keep manipulating themselves and they keep changing, right, to react to whatever medical implications we put in place, whether it comes to antibiotics or becomes vaccines and whatnot. And these viruses just want to survive, so they'll do anything to evolve into something new. So I don't think we're ever going to get to a stage where we can kill off everything, right? There's always going to be new viruses on the cards, and we have to keep evolving, keep changing our medicine to interact with the organisms that are living on the planet at that time. So it's a battle you're never going to win fully. You just have to keep fighting. But the strides that modern medicine have taken over the last 100 years just fill me with confidence that we really are on top of this thing, and we know exactly what's going on. Our quarantines are getting better. Our global cooperation is getting better. And so hopefully we're getting better at managing these types of spreads and these types of viruses, which is a contrast to the fact that we're living so much closer to each other than we used to. And so in the major cities, there's even bigger risks for these sorts of viruses to kind of take over. So yeah, with coronavirus, I'm still hopeful that we're gonna eliminate it completely. But there'll be another one, and there'll be another one after that. So we have to keep thinking about how do we get ahead of the curve, and how do we keep not get complacent, and keep vigilant about making sure we understand what's going on, and push our medical community to keep finding solutions for us.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, sort of medical community aside, I think even just the sharing of information is quite an important one on this front, especially in the case of HIV and AIDS, where, as you said, a lot of Africa has been, wiped out by this virus. And a lot of the time, access to information, a bit of a tricky one there. So let's hope some of that medical information and medical research actually starts getting a bit further in the future.
Across the pond with Barry and Chad.